MMAPlus here at UFC Fight Night in Stockholm, Sweden with Ryan Darth Bader, still one of my favourite names in the sport. How much are you looking forward to getting in the Tele2 Arena on Saturday night with that atmosphere and 40,000 fans are expected?
Yeah, I can't wait. It's a huge arena, a lot of people out there in front of a new crowd that's going to be loud. They're going to be excited to have the UFC here. I can't wait. I feed off that and look to go out there and entertain the fans and have a great fight.
Did you ever expect there'd be a show like this in Europe?
Oh yeah, UFC's been going around the world and expanding and all that kind of good stuff. And I fought in Australia a couple of times, fought in Japan, in Brazil, Canada, fought around the world, and so I get to add Sweden into that mix. And for the markets and countries that don't get to UFC that often, if they get it once a year or so, the fans are going to come out. They're going to pack the stadium. They're going to be in their seat the whole time. They're going to be loud, energetic, ready to go. And so it's going to be a great atmosphere to fight in.
As part of the Fox deal, you could be fighting around 3 a.m. in the morning. Has this got any effect on you, or does it benefit you being from American time? How's this factor into the fight?
Yeah, it won't. You just have to work around it. I'm training. I do my training at night here at 2 a.m. I go to bed late, like at 4 or 5, wake up late. I'm staying on my time that I'm used to. And so it'll be just the same. And I've fought in the morning before. I fought late at night. I fought in the States at 2 a.m. before my last fight in Maine. It was around 2 a.m. when I was fighting OSP. And so, I've done it already. I know when I go in that octagon, I'm going to show up no matter what time it is, where I'm at in the world. It's just about you and that other guy in that octagon. So for me, it's going to be no different than any other fight.
As I said, you're fighting early in the morning as part of the UFC's commitment to Fox and for it to be a more convenient time for the American audience. If this was on European time and it was a little less convenient time for American audience, as they're not used to that, would they get a bit mad about it, do you think?
No, I mean, they want to play at the optimal time back in the States, but people are going to tune in no matter what, even if it was at, noon. So it would be better for us, but it is what it is, and we got to just make the adjustments to come in here and fight at whatever time that we're supposed to be fighting at. And so we're all professionals here, and so that's what has to be done. So it is what it is. Would it be nice if we fought at 7 p.m.? Yeah, but it doesn't always work like that. So we just got to adjust, and it is what it is.
And how are you looking to approach Phil Davis on Saturday night? This is probably going to be billed as wrestler versus wrestler, but obviously there's a lot more to it. How do you think it's going to come out?
You never know. I can sit here and run through how I think it's going to go out, but you never know. You get in there, and it could be a stand-up war. It could be one guy trying to take the other guy down, and the other guy trying to strike, or vice versa. We'll see what happens when you get in there. I just want to go out there. I want to get a win. I want to make it exciting, and so other than that, that's all I know what's going to go down. I'm going to go in there and try to finish the fight, and that's all I can do.
Looking to make it 4 wins in a row now. Would a win here thrust you into the title picture?
Win here, I'd be definitely a legitimate contender. I'd be there in the top 5, and probably need a fight or 2 more. But I got to make that next step, go out there beating that guy in front of me on Saturday. It's Phil Davis, here in Sweden. I go get that job done, then I can worry about all that kind of stuff after.
So in a recent interview with The Telegraph, you were talking about Phil holds a win over you from back in your amateur wrestling days. Yeah. How much does that factor into this fight? Does it add much to your inspiration here?
Yeah, not really. That was a long time ago. I was wrestling. Just one thing you could just kind of add. It'd be, kind of cherry on the top. Ultimately, I want to go in there and win in the MMA fight in the UFC, and that's what I plan to do. So for me, that's too far in the past. I don't really even contemplate that, but obviously it'd be cool. Go out there and avenge that.
That might be a common thing in the UFC. Obviously, a lot of wrestlers know each other from having competed years back. Do you think a lot of guys come into the UFC, they spot a guy they've beaten or lost to in the past, and they think, I'm keeping my eye on him, I want to meet him someday in the octagon? Yeah,
I definitely keep my eye on all the wrestlers that come through, similar backgrounds and all that, and I want to see them all be successful, but then, unless I run across them. And Phil's a national champion, one of the highest honors you can get in college wrestling. And, I've always followed his career because he is a fellow wrestler. And respect to him. He's had a great career. But now we're fighting. I got to go out there and beat him. And so, that's what I'm going to do.
I noticed you've shaken off that long-term hand injury that you had. How much of a relief is that?
Well, it's great. broke my hand in last December, and then really bad right in half, and then had to heal that up and fought Cavalcante with a little gun shy with it, and then fighting OSP, I re-injured it again before the fight, re-fractured it, and so had to go through that fight, and so it's always been on my mind that whole time, and so I took the time off after the OSP fight and healed it up, didn't mess with it, and so it's been so nice going into training camp and being able to use it to the full potential, to be able to throw it, whereas in the past I was just kind of using my left hand exclusively, and that was it, and trying to hide that from other people, and so for me to have that weapon now, it's definitely just adds even more to my confidence.
How much did that really play on your mind and frustrate you? I injured my own hand a long time back, but I didn't have to compete like you did with it, and just doing daily tasks, you get an ache here and there, and it's really annoying to live with. How much did it play on your mind?
Well, it really sucked when training for the OSP fight, a month left of training, and I couldn't do what I needed to do. I couldn't spar, with two hands. I couldn't grapple really, and so we didn't want to pull out of the main event, so we went and fought anyway and got the job done. But if you're in the fight and you look back and something gets tough, and you're like, did I put in all the work I needed to put in when in a training camp? And if you look back and say no, because my hand was injured, then it could mess with you mentally. But I did get the job done, so now when I look back, I did everything in the training camp that I needed to do. And so that's huge confidence going in. I know I'm in shape. I know I can use all my weapons, and that's what I'm looking forward to finally in the first time in a little while.
Thanks a lot for your time, Ryan. This is MMAPlus at UFC Fight Night in Stockholm. Thanks, Ryan. Great.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thanks, Ryan.